Good afternoon, everybody. This is Sonu and Neerav presenting the perception of iPad in Dubai. So, before we start off, we'd like to give you an introduction of the Apple company which has invented the iPad. If you see, Apple has 34,000 employees. It is a leading PC manufacturer. It has various products like Apple iPad, iTouch, iPod, and the Mac. It has various competitors like SanDisk, There are various products like SanDisk, Creative, Samsung in the MP3 market. Recently, it has entered into the mobile phones market with the launch of the iPhone, and it has various products like the iStore, through which it has entered into the digital media. So, moving ahead, things have been really good with Apple, but what lies ahead? So, everything is not going very great for Apple. With the launch of iPad, we can see that the initial demand for the Apple iPad was pretty high. But as time went on, the demand has fallen down. And it is one of the problems that has been is that it is not targeted to a specific customer segment, and there has been mixed responses from various countries. Now, there are some features that are not there in the Apple iPad, and there are some features that need to be modified. Based on these, we have come up with some of our recommendations. Now, moving ahead, based on the problem statement, we came up with the objectives, and our first objective has been to study the competition Apple iPad faces with the general consumer goods. The general consumer goods as in the mobile phone, the laptops. These are the general products with which it tries to compare. The other thing is to try to understand the perception of the Apple iPad and contrast it to the perception globally with the Dubai perception. Now moving ahead, the benefits of the research. First benefit is how does the Apple iPad rate in the eyes of the customer? And also we are trying to understand the awareness of the product before its launch. And based on these benefits, we are trying to provide our recommendations. Now moving ahead, this is our execution methodology, wherein we are trying to see the scope definition, and we went to our secondary research, where we went to various websites, blogs, internet, and try to understand what people are saying about the Apple iPad. Based on these research, we formed our research objectives, and we went ahead with two parts. We decided we'll have both qualitative as well as quantitative research, wherein our qualitative research will focus more on talking to the salespeople at malls in Dubai and trying to understand how they feel about it. In our quantitative research, we had 3 questionnaires. One was a basic questionnaire trying to understand the perception of general consumer goods all around the world, and also trying to have people rate the iPad specifically from Dubai as well as globally. So these were specific iPad users. So based on these research that we did, we then basically gathered all this data, processed it, analyzed it, and then came to our conclusions. Moving ahead, basically we had all the social networking sites through which we went to different websites. The first is GoMate, that's my website. We went to Facebook, Yahoo Groups, Twitter, Google, LinkedIn, and we went through various websites and asked people what they feel about it. It was mails, chats, surveys sent to them, and this is what we came up with. Moving ahead, Neerav will take it forward to explain you the strategy models. Yes, so place in Jamshedpur, my hometown.
Thank you, Sonu. We have done a comprehensive study based on the SWOT analysis, Porter's model for competitive advantage, the S-curve, the beta model that we have devised, and finally coming to the blue ocean strategy. What Apple adopts is a mixture of both blue ocean strategy as well as Porter's model of competitive advantage. However, for any particular electronic product, and in this case, the Apple iPad, the S-curve is the most prominent technology or the most prominent strategy that can be utilized. Then we see, after a certain lag, the demand for a particular product increases and then it goes down into the diminishing return. It is during this time when the demand for a particular product is very high that engineering or mastery over technology can be achieved at that point of time. However, once a product enters into the diminishing phase, it's required that either a breakthrough in technology, either by coming up with a new product or by integrating the old product with new technology. The curve or the demand curve can be born again and new demand can be created for the same product. Apple iPad has done something similar. Apple has done something similar. Here in Dubai, where it has been launched as of now recently, the demand is very high. So it is in the initial phases. But then in the US and UK, the demand has been diminishing because people have also started identifying the problems, and we'll see through the quantitative analysis that how these problems will be related. But Apple is very smart. They have come up with a strategy to counter the saturation of the demand for the Apple iPad. First, they have not launched iPad all throughout in all the geographical regions. Secondly, that creates curiosity amongst the minds of people where it has not yet been launched. And then later on, they are now integrating the Mac OS 4, which is a new technology that they integrate with the iPad, so that multiple business applications can be run at one point of time. This particular feature is not yet as present in the Apple iPad. Again, a blue ocean strategy promotes a firm to come up with an innovative product. This leads to a differentiated product, or it gives a company or a firm the cost advantage in terms of its competitors, and makes the market competition irrelevant. Earlier, Apple was mainly into PC manufacturing, and earlier when we've seen it is still into the leading PC manufacturer, but then with the introduction or the entrance of Asus, Acer, and other laptop labels, they found out that there has been a lot of competition in the PC manufacturing industry. But that market has turned into a red ocean. So Apple has come up into the blue ocean, where they are coming up with new innovative products. And this has been the strategy that they have adopted for the past 10 years. And they have come up with various successful models. This blue ocean strategy leads to creating of brand value and customer loyalty. Apple has launched various successful products over the last 10 decades, including the iTunes, the iPod Nano, iPod Mini in 2005, the iPhone, and finally they have launched the Apple iPad in 2010. This is the strategy that we ourselves have devised, and we believe is one of the primary reasons that a product can be successful based on this. Beta model promotes a firm to come up with an innovative product which would eventually be technologically superior than others, and which would eventually lead to a more demand and advantage, be it in terms of price or a differentiated product, and finally create customer or brand loyalty in the end overall. We did in-depth analysis, we did in-depth qualitative interviews with the sales executives at different places like Sabla area in Dubai and Dubai Mall, where we found out the various features that Apple iPad were being promoted on by the sales executives. They said the 64GB variant was the most widely sold Apple iPad, most widely sold iPad variant. That means the 16GB and the 32GB variant that they have is not being as high on sales, which means that people are paying for more memory. Also, majority of the customers fell in the age of 15 to 35 years, and the prominent features that they promoted were ebook reader, the integrated iPod, integrated YouTube for videos, and the battery backup, which was claimed to be for 10 hours. Also, the sales have been pretty high initially once the iPad had been launched, but now again it is in the diminishing curve, like the S curve we had talked about. And finally, not much of the complaints have come against the Apple iPad when compared to its global perception, because people have not yet come across the Apple iPad. Over to Sonu for the quantitative analysis. Thanks, Neeraj.
So, as you can see from this graph, we ask people what are the various factors when you go for a smartphone. So people said that battery backup and mobility are the two important factors, and they rated gaming as pretty low, as you can see from this graph. So people wanted more of mobility as well as good business apps and battery backup. Gaming was not given a priority. Going ahead, we asked people what are the factors when you go for a laptop. People said we'd like a laptop to have a high battery backup, huge memory, and good processor speed. Again, gaming was not something they were very interested in. We went ahead and asked people what are the most popular Apple products. We tried to compare if Apple is eating itself, the iPad is competing with itself. And here we found that the iPhone is rated much higher compared to the Apple iPad. iPad is not even in the top 4, if you see. Going ahead, we asked the primary use of the iPad. So what would you do? What would you use it for? And people said that we'll use it for business, we'll use it for emailing. But again, if you compare global and Dubai perception, people do not want to use it for games, music, phones, photographs, which iPad promotes through its advertising. So there is a huge gap there, which needs to be corrected. Going ahead, we asked people, how is the ebook reading experience? Here we see that the Kindle, which is one of its biggest competitors, is doing very well compared to the iPad. And if you compare Dubai and global perception, people are not much aware about the different products. It's only the Kindle and the iPad which people are aware of. And slowly this awareness is going to come in again. Going ahead, we asked people how is the audio experience. Here was a big shock for us. The iPad, though it promotes that it has good audio, people do not rate it very highly, even in Dubai as well as globally. So people are not very happy with the music experience that they get from the iPad. Going ahead, we asked people, how do you rate the iPad on features? Again, we see that compatibility is one major issue. People are not able to connect different devices to it, and they have rated it very low. They, of course, say that the display is pretty good, which is seeing the large screen that there is. Going ahead, we asked people, what are the features that needs to be enhanced? What do you want actually? People said, we want memory, we want huge memory, we want built-in applications, better built-in applications. And this is the trend both as globally as well as in Dubai. Going ahead, we asked what are the most appealing features, and people said, yeah, ebook is good, but it has to be improved. There are various features like the YouTube, which Apple promotes, but yet people do not find it very interesting. Based on this, we came up with analysis which we are taking it forward.
So, showing some of the graphs of globally.
Yeah.
So how do you select your test segment?
We went through, what we did was we uploaded 2 questionnaires. One was for global and one was for Dubai. And we sent out mails to various people. First we contacted them through LinkedIn who said we are using iPad. We went to different groups. We added them to our profile and then we said, okay, you are an iPad user. Can you give us a survey on this? So they filled up the survey. So we got a response through that.
Based on the quantitative analysis, we found out that the